Welcome to yet again another FPSC podcast, the Z-Axis. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but a lot is happening, so we've got a lot to talk about. And we've got a lot of people here to talk about those things, so very quickly we're going to run down the list and let everybody tell you who they are and what they do. We'll start with Bug Spray. Bug Spray is here.
Hey everybody, so I'm Bug Spray. I played a lot of Tribes 1, Tribes 2, Vengeance, a little less on the Vengeance side. Never played TAA. Played some TA, and then a bunch of Legions, and I'm currently the project lead on Midair.
Cool. And Mabel?
I'm the so I'm the main programmer and designer on Midair. Previously of TA Infamy, but I don't play video games anymore. So.
And Legions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, full-time coder now. Okay, cool. Freaky is here.
Yes, hello. Freaky, T1, T2, Tribes Vengeance, very little Legions. I'm mostly TA and lots of casting, yeah.
Indeed. We are also joined by Proj. I think this is the first time we've had Proj on. How are you, man?
Hey, what's up? I mostly come back from Tribes 2 and Ascend background. I played all of them. I started, Tribes 1 was like the second online game I played, actually, for a while. But mostly Tribes 2, and then a distant second, Tribes Ascend, and I've dabbled in a couple other competitive games, too.
Cool. Some say Proj is the best T2 player of all time.
Some do say that. Yes.
He's the best F2 presser in T2, yes.
Oh, yeah. I need to find those demos. Find those things. Do you have them?
No.
Damn it. I've been looking for them.
Dude, he has been looking for them.
Well, we've got a couple of the artists from Midair here. Stealth RG.
Hello, everybody. I'm the level designer, environment art, like the organic assets like trees and foliage. And I played T1 pretty religiously back in its heyday. I was in a little tribe. I don't think they call them tribes anymore, but run and gun. And played very competitively when I was a youngster. Now I'm an old man and developing, so that's me.
You played some T2 as well, right?
Oh yeah, I played them all. I played T2 too.
Were you with Area 51 in T2?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
He also played Legions, which is where we met.
I did. I love tribes, so I played them all. Let's be honest.
Yeah, all this Legion's denial. It's okay. You can talk about it. And finally, Void Spawn is here as well.
Hello, Void Spawn. I'm the resident European representing the country of Europe. I'm a TA scrub mostly, but I just make art on Midair, so who cares, right?
I'm gonna tell Owen and Corey about that.
Well, it's good to have you all the way from Europe. As an American, I always say Europe is my favorite country in the whole world. And finally, I'm Winners with the One. I'm a caster and esports personality, and I'm also the audio engineer at Hell Legit Games, the makers of #Wrecked. But we have other things on the lineup here. First, I guess we should talk about Tribes Ascend, guys, because
I guess
out of nowhere, Tribes Ascend came back. They made some announcements. Hi-Rez Sean is now in charge of the project. They've actually put people back on the game. They've got PTS, their new test server thing, where they've got new maps and class changes.
I'll talk about this one for a sec.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, the new map, now I can't even remember what it's called. Terminus. It feels a lot more Tribes-like than any other map that's in Tribes Ascend right now. Yeah, that was close. Having said that, it needs a few changes and stuff like that. It's too open for sniping and stuff. But the big change was getting rid of the classes and going back to the light, medium, heavy and letting you build classes off that, and each weapon has its own grouping, I guess, like disc launchers and chain guns and stuff like that. And right now the problem is it's a balancing issue, which Hi-Rez has addressed and said, yes, we are going to go through and try to balance stuff out. And I hope they balance for bigger team sizes. I don't want to see 7v7 anymore. But other than that, it was mostly just Hi-Rez saying, hey, we're going to go back and work on Tribes Ascent a little bit, and this is the direction that we're planning. And so far, it's been a pretty positive outlook. Positive response.
Cool. Has anybody else played it?
Yeah, I played a bit. The guys have been organizing some PTX pugs and stuff. Basically trying to balance the game without the game being balanced yet, because everything is broken with the 3
Oh, they're
classes.
doing like a whole bunch of like custom rules to like try to figure
Yep.
something out. That's not
Pretty
Yeah,
much. There's
they-
some really
They've
weird
banned
stuff.
everything but the phase rifle, at least here in NA.
Oh, okay. Are they just
Kinda
playing the new
cool.
map too?
No,
No.
actually, you can't even play the new map in
Yeah,
pugs because
they only
yeah.
put it on a couple of servers that they have.
Oh, okay.
It is not available on private servers yet.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, but yeah. So at least the guys, we basically banned everything and made some really weird honor rolls as well to try to make it somewhat enjoyable.
What are the honor rules?
Like snipers can't shoot offense and weird stuff like that. It's just, it is like insane, but that's, I don't know. Like I said, it's trying to balance the game that's not yet balanced.
Out of curiosity, can they shoot the defense? It's like perma
I
O
guess-
sniping.
No, well, it's about snipers focusing cappers, right? And not because, yeah, that's because shield packs banned, for example. Like you either have shield pack and snipers, but then the game's just kind of still. But
Oh.
like banning shield pack then makes snipers ridiculously OP. But then yeah, I don't know.
They banned
There's
the
no-
shield pack, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, they banned pretty much everything, right?
Why?
Just to try things out, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't really
Yeah, no
there
harm
when they
in trying,
discussed
right?
things. Yeah, I've
Well-
been trying a whole bunch of things, and
Yeah,
it's
one
been
of the-
fun mostly.
One of the things they changed was that lights have, what is it, 2 weapons? Mediums have 3, and heavies have 4, or is that more than? I think it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
for-
Yeah, there's just
2, 3,
3
4.
classes now. They got rid of
Mhm.
all the juggernauts and scramblers and what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just light, medium, and heavy now. And lights have 2 weapons, mediums have 3, and heavies have 4.
Except of course you still have your grenade slot,
Throwing
essentially
disc.
giving you another disc or explosive nitrons and whatever, which is
Those
kind
things.
of
Disc plus 2 guys.
Yeah, that I mean, yeah, the most broken builds are the, like the medium build with double ground pound and chain, with shield pack and grenade as well, which is
Because
just
you can-
retarded.
Because
Why
you
haven't
can
you guys-
equip you can equip the technician thumper and like the soldier spin fuser. So it's like that's just like double primary. I don't know
Yeah.
what they were
Yeah.
thinking
Well,
there.
weren't they
That
talking
was-
about like broad, like sort of categorizing the weapons into like broad categories, like explosive,
Yeah, yeah.
like disc type weapons, which would include all the discs and thumpers and whatnot, and then like other explosive weapons, and then like
I
chain
think-
guns or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's basically what they tried to do. They just missed the tech thumper, and there hasn't been a new patch on PTS since the
Yeah.
initial release. So, like all this shit is, I'm sure they know it's
Yeah,
broken.
well, hopefully people are actually patient with it, because it does take a while to roll that stuff out with not that many
Yep.
people working on it. Like, if they actually are gonna like try to fix stuff, it would be nice for people to be a little patient about it.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
I've seen people already like, why is this so broken and stupid? And like, I mean, come on, guys.
It's gamers.
It is a pretty
Yeah.
ambitious list of changes they're trying to go for.
Yeah,
And we're talking about like they haven't done anything to the game in like 2 years, and all of a sudden they're throwing people on this, and yeah, it's a long list of things they're trying to do.
Well, if anybody missed it, I in the chat here I posted the Google Doc where that Sean posted of the whole list of potential changes and stuff.
Yeah, I was looking at this, man.
Not
Yeah.
stuff that they're necessarily going to do, but stuff they've gotten requested and are looking at, essentially.
Yeah, and anybody that's done even a little bit of game dev can look at that and go, "Wow, that's a lot of stuff." So yeah, I'm just I was. I mean, it would have been cooler, if they could have done this, I don't know, a year or two ago, but yeah.
4 years.
Oh, yeah. Has it been that long? Yeah, I guess it has. Since
3 years.
Beyond
Well,
Gaming, yeah.
late 2011.
Yeah.
Closed beta.
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's late. Is it? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know, man. Where did the time go, right? Yeah. But yeah, since the whitelist and all that, yeah.
I'm just happy to see it being worked on again.
Yeah,
it's
I
not.
think it's. I know some people are actually pretty cynical about. Oh, they're just like pumping it up for good PR for Paladins, which that may be part to do with it. But
I don't think so. They wouldn't.
Yeah,
they wouldn't
I-
bother with the tribes community
yeah, it's not
to
a great
do
community.
their next game.
Yeah.
That would be the dumbest
I-
move in the world.
Yeah, no, I think
that's-
Smite's. It makes sense that they're only putting a few people on there. Smite's been successful. It's a good one of those like long-term investment things. You get people get more experience, and if they've ever think about revisiting, the IP, it helps to work out what's working and what's not and stuff for relatively little cost to them. I assume because they've only got like 1 or 2 guys full-time on it and a few guys part-time or whatever they have.
Another.
Allegedly, they have 4 people full time on it.
Full-time?
But-
Yes,
Well, I mean,
allegedly,
but they have
but-
like 170 employees or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's
It's really
mapper-
a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, it's a mapper Everett, which I don't know how senior he is or whatever.
I think he's senior. I think he's just a senior programmer.
Yeah, and Sean.
Well, he was programming back in Tribes Ascend.
Yeah, dude. And Sean and Lil Mamacita, I think, is the 4th there.
The
so.
community manager, yes.
Yeah,
Mamacita.
I have.
So
I've
not really
never
on the
met-
dev team, but yeah. Mamacita came on way after your time.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know anything.
Yeah, I'm not really that cynical about it. I think it's good that they're trying some stuff and that they're more open about it now.
Yeah, and they've been fairly open. Like, there's no reason to doubt what Sean said when he said, the reason why they abandoned it was because of resources and because it wasn't profitable. And now they've got the
Well, and they
resources, so now
said
they can do it.
that the game was getting good reviews and they were kind of scared to change major aspects of
Oh,
the
yeah,
game
that-
too.
that
So
was
that's
the-
another. They have like inertia going, and they didn't want to like totally. And which it makes sense too.
That was the most interesting thing he said, which was that turned out to be the wrong call, which. Or
Yeah.
I guess from a gameplay.
Well, once you get
which was-
past a certain point, it's a sinking ship no matter what you do. Like
Yeah.
they could have overhauled and then everyone would have been mad, and I don't think it would have saved it regardless. Because once you release a game, you can't. It's really hard to like re-release a game into the wild because the people, the huge concurrent player base numbers, those types of people aren't going to come back to your game unless you make it like an actual sequel.
Firefall's a good case study in that.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
How many like major rehauls has Firefall done in the last like 5 years? Like 8 or something?
Around there, yeah.
And they're
Really?
still going, right? Sort
Yeah,
of.
oh yeah,
Yep.
they still have another new like overhaul. I mean, at some point you just gotta like pack up shop and like take your losses. But like for now, they can test stuff with a relatively small community. They can be pretty experimental even because they're really not expecting to make tons of money off of this, right? So they can be pretty experimental and they can use that in their future projects for information and to get more experience for some of the members of their team and stuff. I think it's overall probably a pretty good idea in the long term.
It's also a testament to the people who are currently working on it too. I get the feeling that it's probably not something where they woke up and had the assignment. They probably had to volunteer in some way or be passionate about the series in general. Which I mean, props to Sean and Everett and all the other folks.
Yeah, I think Sean
Yeah,
was one of the
absolutely.
original guys that was like wanted the IP, right? I think he was.
Yes.
According to him.
According to the story. Well, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I believe it. I was just saying, like that's.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Some of the old players have come back, and I believe pugs are happening in Europe and North America. So, yeah, it's worth checking out if you haven't already. I plan to eventually. It's just, I don't know, guys, when you start making games, you have little time to actually play games, I've found.
Yep, it happens.
Yeah.
Even if you aren't making games and just play games, it's hard to make time to play games nowadays.
I know, dude. There's just so many. It's just such a
There's so
open
many,
market.
and it's hard to get that sort of addictive quality again. You know, I got a few games coming up that I'm looking at, but none of them really hook me.
I'm addicted to Mad Max.
Mad Max. Oh yeah. I've been playing UT4 mostly lately.
And that's another one that, I definitely need to check out. And one I'm looking forward to checking out is Arms of Telos. I wanted to talk about this a little bit because there was an interesting thread on their forums about how they're going to make Inheritance, which if anybody's listening this far into an FPSZ podcast, we don't have to explain Inheritance to you. But the dev of Telos is talking about making Inheritance adjustable by the player. Now, I believe in Midair currently it's 50%, something like that.
It depends on the weapon. Yeah.
It depends on the weapon. Okay, but he's talking about just making it adjustable by the player, like I guess a slider setting or something. And I was curious as to how that would work.
Wow. So apparently the story is that you can change it. It's basically a setting you set on your menu screen. It's set whenever you join the server, so you can't change it while you're playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just give players, I guess, full control. I don't know how specific it is. I didn't actually read the post too carefully. It's bad of me. But if you can, I don't know if you can, set it per weapon or anything. But yeah, I mean, it's a feature that a lot of people have sort of requested from these styles of game for a long time, ever since 100% Inheritance became a thing that people cared about sometime in early TA. So I think it's interesting that they give it a try.
Yeah, because it's one of those things that people seem to have very strong opinions about one way or the other. So just pushing it as a player choice might be a sort of good compromise for that. I don't know how it'll play out as far as, they're doing testing right now, so I'm sure that we'll find out from there. And hopefully they'll expand the testing a little bit too, because I would kind of like to play that game.
Yeah, I really like to see how that game plays and flows. And
in a match, I'd love to see a full match of it or something at some point. But obviously, the dev has his own timetable and stuff. So
yeah, it's a one-man project. So yeah, that's a lot of work.
Oh,
it looks cool.
Really?
It looks cool as hell. I think it's really awesome looking.
Because
I got to give him a lot of props for that.
Because I see a lot of people around the Arena FPS or whatever subreddits with the Arms of Telos flares. So I kind of assumed they had 3 or whatever people working on it, but just one dude.
Yeah, what he's been able to accomplish by himself is pretty amazing.
Yeah, because how many? I've heard anywhere from 10 to 20 people are working on Midair, and those may be even inflated numbers.
I think right now the current count is 17. We hit 22 at one point. We're at 17 now. And it's a mix of a lot of people in different disciplines. So it's not that I made a post on the forum or the Reddit thread about this at some point, but it's not that we have 17 programmers and artists. We have, I think we have 3 programmers right now, 7-ish artists, a graphics designer. I'm working on sound, working on music, some folks in marketing. We have a guy running the finances, on the project lead. So it's people spread out across all the different disciplines of game design. So yeah, that's about where we're at right now. But yeah, seeing what he's been able to do just by himself is also pretty impressive. And also the team that we have is kind of contributing on varying levels. So we have a few people who put all their time into it, and then we have others who will spend maybe 5 to 10 hours a week.
So there's core people, and then there are people that just kind of pop in and do stuff here and there.
Yeah, exactly, and we consider everybody on the team in that case, because ultimately if they get stuff done that we can use, then there's no reason if they're only putting 5 hours a week that we can't use them, right? If they're contributing, they're contributing.
Yeah, we have 4 people working on #Rect right now, and I don't know. There was a question where asking ourselves, would #Rect really count as an FPSC? And Technically, yeah, because you got to sort of jetpack and sort of fly around and stuff. So, I said either way, it wasn't going to stop me from getting some talk about it in here. If nothing else.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
How's that going, by the way? I haven't seen an update lately.
We're looking to do Steam Greenlight here pretty soon. We're going to do it already, but we wanted to make one more build, and we're working on CTF. We've got freeze tag in. And we've done a lot to the movement. We've got someone who has been, I don't want to out him just yet. I don't know if he's ready for that, but someone who has been a previous guest on the Z-axis is helping us with maps. So we've got a lot of that going. And so a big content update is coming very, very soon.
Awesome.
That's where we're at on that. And speaking of content updates, I guess now since we've got a whole bunch of mid-air people, we should talk about it. Now, you guys just did a big thing at PAX, and I understand that went very well. Freaky made a video of it, which I think has been circulating around this weekend and gotten some... It's made all the right people happy and made all the right people mad, I think, seems to be the consensus.
That's actually perfect, yes.
You want to talk about your experience over just as a person coming in and playing, Freaky?
Well, it's the real bonus of playing at an event like that is to meet all the people, and it really brought back the flavor of old lands, TribesCon, Yuvaland, and we actually talked about those a lot. But it was a lot of fun to just play a game that people haven't seen yet, haven't experienced yet, and it's, for some of them, it's something that they've been waiting for since the end of T1. And it was just a lot of fun to see all the people loving what has been done so far.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think the feedback at least we received has been pretty overwhelmingly positive. I mean, there's definitely some rough edges we need to figure out,
Wow.
but the event, I mean, I think we had like 80 people there, which was double than what we had the year prior. And even things like being able to let people, take photos and videos, which we didn't do the previous year, was nice, and it felt a lot more open, which is great.
Well, on top of that is the event was only supposed to go till like 7, and 8 o'clock rolls around and the room is still full and everybody's still playing. 9 o'clock rolls around, everyone is still playing, and then 9:30 rolls around, and then I'm outside having a cigarette on the porch, and someone comes out and is like, "Hey, Freaky, we're gonna do a pickup. Come cast it." What? What?
Yeah, that was unplanned. That was kind of cool though. It was a lot of fun.
That was awesome. We had a 5v5 on Wilder's Own. It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
And who won?
won?
The T1 people, like the mass, I think one of the teams, I wasn't there for the second game, but the first game, I think the massive T1 player team won.
It was I think Fire, myself, Opseo. I think Opseo was the captain.
Yeah.
And there were a couple others on that team. I forgot who it was.
If you put the names down, it ended like you'd think it would.
Not necessarily, okay? We put up a good fight.
So Stealth
I
was
gave
on the other
ABC a
team.
lot of shit. It was good times.
Stealth was on the other team, and he had probably the most experience of anybody capping. So he was a capper to be feared that game.
I watched a lot
Cappy
of
was-
his monitor.
It's not like Cappy was particularly balanced. I feel like this is skewing the contribution.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Mabel, I mean, when you do a playtest like that and you get that kind of feedback, how does that affect what you're doing in terms of coding? Were there things that really stood out from that playtest that you're like, okay, yeah, we're definitely going to be working on that?
Not a whole lot more so than, like, the thing with the game is, like, you already know, like, you're working on it, you're really close to it, you know what most of the problems are, honestly. So when people are like, oh, the air control, like, the air control sucks, and I don't feel like you can DJ fast enough, I'm like, well, yes, and right, like, that's that way because of something else, right? It's because, like, these 8 other problems made that happen. So, like, none of that's really surprising, honestly. But it does mean it does sort of just say like, hey, yeah, guys, we really have to work on this. There's some feedback does push stuff to the top because you can partially because you can just sort of like take care of it really quickly. So like people like saying like, oh hey, it'd be nice if like the disc could like spike you down, because like in the other games, if you hit someone on the head with the disc, it'll like push them downwards or something. Um, and so like if someone says like, hey, like I was really missing this and it like messed with my ability to like stop cappers, when emitting them on incoming, that's just a thing that I can write in like 10 minutes or something, and that'll get like pushed up the stack. So most of what those playtests do is give you information on what needs to, which priorities need to move around and stuff. To sort of make the play experience better. Or that's most of what I've gotten from the ones we've done so far.
Well, and to be fair, a lot of the people, if you're showing up for something like that, it's your hardcore enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll change when you guys put out like an open beta or whenever you guys start releasing this thing to let more of the casual audience, per se, start playing it?
So what's the question exactly? Is how do you think, how does the feedback affect you? Like when it's your hardcore versus your casual audience?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, I have no idea. I think we're gonna need to do, a lot of work to sort of make the game more friendly for that kind of thing before we do that. I don't even think about that stuff right now because it's like we've got like fundamentals to nail and stuff like that before I really start getting into any sort of like, hey, this is, would be nice if like someone who never played Tribes before is playing it. It's like, that's not super important to me right now. It's sort of like, what is the core experience work like? And, because getting that, like, if you don't get that right, then it's a real pain to do anything else. Or you end up, you have to backtrack and it's a total disaster.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it might be a little bit before. Bugs, when do you think that a public build will be available?
Yeah, so we get this question a lot, and unfortunately, right now our official statement is that it is soon. like soon,
I had to try, man.
Soon TM with like a long soon, really. Like it's there's really no like date yet, and part of the reason is because like we don't know yet. There's a lot of stuff that needs to get done, and given that we're primarily a volunteer project. Things get in the way, right? So if like someone goes on vacation, right, that's a week or two of time from someone who potentially is core to what we're doing gone, right? And that like pushes every deadline that is dependent on that person getting their tasks done back by that 2 weeks. And so what we want to do is continue releasing updates, kind of show progress, and then we'll talk more about deadlines kind of when we get closer to them.
Okay.
What I will say, we had kind of actually planned to make this announcement here on the podcast here, is that we are aiming for 2 milestones. We don't have dates on them yet, but also they will be soon. And the first milestone is Greenlight, and the second will be Kickstarter. I think we had
so you are
mentioned,
going for Steam then?
We are going for Steam, and I think we had mentioned like last year at the PAX event that we were really interested in crowdfunding. And so we've decided on the platform. We have some ideas on how we want to run it, but more information will be released on that soon.
Okay. Well, we all look forward to it. I hope we get to play pretty soon. Mabel, were you about to say something?
No, I just said the soon always.
Yeah.
Soon.
There's so
Okay,
many
yeah,
soons.
soon.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to ask Proj, since we have one of the greatest T2 players of all time here. What makes a good Tribes game? What can these guys do to make something that's going to satisfy the quote-unquote Tribes community? I mean, that's a pretty broad question, but I'm sure you have opinions.
Are you going to drill that greatest T2 thing of all time, like the whole time?
Yes.
Is that
sure,
the
man.
thing?
Yeah, it's your claim to fame, man.
Great.
Greatest troll on
I mean,
Reddit doesn't have the same ring to
Are
it.
you talking about? You said sort of 2 things. You said what would make the game successful, and then you said what would appeal to like the Tribes players, because those are 2 not necessarily the same things, right?
Okay, break it down for us, man.
Because I mean, like, what the first main thing is that like you can't just do like LT. Like I'm fairly positive that you just can't do something like that simplistic. I mean, it's good as far as like balancing the iterations go. Like LT should be playable, but I would say it's all the other stuff that sort of attracts sort of like the normal players. I've been around playing a lot of like pub games for the last several years for many hours, like thousands in some case of other games, and you'll notice like trends of what people like to do, and they tend to gravitate towards a couple things, in my opinion, and it's one of those things is like larger player servers. They tend to gravitate towards, if you put people and you put in front of them like a 12-man server, 16-man server, 24-man server, 32-man server, they'll naturally sort of gravitate to the 32-man servers. They like the spectacle. They like the fact that there's less pressure. They like to be able to do just whatever they want to do. It's almost like a sandbox.
Farm and stuff.
I mean, you've seen like how popular a map like 2 Fort is in TF2. It's a terrible map. It plays. It's awful. If you have any skill at the game, it'll drive you nuts. You don't actually play like capture the flag on 2 Fort. You play sit on the top thing and snipe or hammer, a turret in the flag room, and you kill one person every like 15 minutes.
Flag room? I think you mean the sewer.
No, okay, whatever.
Well,
and I think that's what's kind of cool about Tribes is that it's an old game, but it sort of has these elements in it that make it sort of a fit with modern games. Because it has all that extra stuff, people will play.
There was a role for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the big things is having roles that are not executionally, or they don't require like strong execution skills. And I think that's a huge thing because, like, the gap between the good players nowadays and the good players back then is just massive. It's enormous. I can roll into games that I'm not even particularly good at, like arena games. And I can just steamroll people like 40-0, and I'm not even one of the top tier players. Like those guys are they'll steamroll me 40-0. It's kind of silly actually. People have just gotten way better, and even though there's more people playing games overall, you're fighting. There's more competition too. You're fighting for like a very small piece of the pie. So everybody's gonna jump in your game at the start is all these like really elite players right from the get go. It's gonna be flooded with elite players, and you're gonna like. If all you have is like these execution skills, you're just going to shove all those lower skill players to the margins very quickly. It's going to be hard to build like a player base doing that. And just from my experience, like there's no shortcuts to developing those execution skills. People aren't going to sit around playing LT for like a year, getting like competent at it, and like learning how to midair people and chase down cappers going 200 kph or something. They want to like give them turrets and stuff to like deploy. It doesn't really require skill to look at the ground and deploy turrets, and make it more about like decision making processes and stuff.
And that's actually something that I've tried to talk about of why I don't like TA's comp right now.
Oh, in what way?
Well, for example, like my biggest experience was in T2 and these large team sizes, and you had a role, you had a farmer, and if someone wasn't particularly great at skiing but was okay with DMing, you stuck him on HD, you stuck him on gen duty, and all of that is now missing. Now it's kill or cap.
Yeah,
I think a lot of that honestly just has to do with TA's mechanics.
Yeah.
Because it's not particularly about like the numbers. Because with this sort of 7v7 sort of type numbers, you get a lot of that spread in T2 playing T2 sevens or classic sevens. I don't know if anyone ever played base at that number, but so I mean, like a lot of that's just like that's how the game is. Like that's just what happens when everyone spawns on loadout. And, all that stuff.
But I'm saying that's what my problem with TA was.
Yeah,
because see, I like vehicles. Will Midair have vehicles?
Oh no. This question, oh no.
It is being asked on I'm looking on this list here, but I wanted to know too. So.
Yeah, so I have a nice prepped answer for this that I cannot remember. I think Chris remembers. What?
Yeah.
Are you dumping the question off?
No, so we are going to have vehicles. We have not currently spent a ton of time in designing it. We spent a little bit of time in designing it.
And a million voices from T1 just cried out in pain.
Hey, there were vehicles in T1, man.
Hey man,
Yeah,
Those
you
scout-
used
those
them to
scout
crash into the
routes.
flag and cause the flag to warp around everywhere. Yeah.
Scout
Yeah, that's
routes.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
T1 Scout was actually kind of neat.
Yeah, we haven't done anything past like the preliminary concept work.
Yeah, and I don't think people really realize still how early on Midair is. What you saw in that PAX video is early pre-alpha. Not alpha.
But pre-alpha, yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I would bring the art guys in and ask a little bit about where you guys are at in your workflow as far as where the art is in the game and how much of that is... Because, I mean, like people were talking about the slap that ass, the reload thing.
There's a lot of work to be done. Animations, especially, those can take a very long time to get right. First of all, and second of all, if we're changing things around, each time they need to be tweaked. As far as all the other art stuff, I'll let Voidspawn speak about his work. But as far as my work, and which is mainly the environment stuff, those are all things that will be iterated on. Art is definitely an iterative process. You put things in, you tweak, you get a good base, and then you build on that. So right now we're in a good spot where we think we have the vibe that we want to go for. The art style is established, and so now it's just all about really bringing in the details of that.
Okay, Void, anything to add to that?
Yeah, pretty much what Stealth said. We've got a nice base, nice foundation. Also, like, we've definitely taken sort of longer than I would have thought to get to this point with the
It
art.
always
but-
does, man.
Yeah, exactly. But now that, like, a lot of the work that we went through this year was about, establishing exactly how we do the things we're going to be doing in the future, and establishing pipelines, learning things, teaching ourselves how exactly we want to do things, and figuring out what the best ways are. For a lot of things, at least for me, speaking from, I pretty much modeled all the weapons and all the buildings and characters, and will be doing most of that in the future as well. So a lot of that is definitely something that took a lot of time, and now it's hopefully it'll be fairly smooth sailing from now on, but you never know.
And actually,
Cool,
the
man.
amount of progress, like, from the outside, it looks like we just put out some videos and screenshots of like the art that we've landed at, right? But like, Freaky, you were there last year.
Yeah,
And
no,
you saw.
it's amazing how much has changed just over the last year.
I think it'd be interesting to even, I don't know if we can do this publicly, but even just for our own edification, is like pull together a screenshot of the previous art and compare it against what we have now.
Well, what previous art exactly? Because there wasn't a whole lot.
Well, yeah, we had that like presentation or whatever last time.
Yeah,
It had
true.
the old diorama thing that we created. But like even just thinking back to it, like the change has been pretty significant. Even though like what
True.
people see is just the one arted map and a couple of assets, like there's been a lot of change. And it's
Is
all
it
for the
just?
better.
I've seen the Wilder Zone thing. Is that the only map you have so far, like that's decked out, and not just like a prototype thing right now? Were you just trying to go for that one map to like see the aesthetic on that, or what?
Pretty
Uh,
much, yeah.
Yeah, there are things that I've been working on too. I mean, part of doing what I do is I have like gigs and gigs and gigs of textures. Like literally, you work and you try things out, and it's a lot of trial and error. But there are definitely a lot of things that we are working on that are going to be pretty cool. I'm not sure how much I can talk about it, but I'm pretty excited about it. And I hope you guys like what you guys see in the future here.
I really like the Wilder Zone look, I gotta say. So I gotta give you props on that. And I wanted to ask one thing. One of the old Tribes games had a big thing on different like biomes and stuff, like I think T2 had like 5 basic terrain types or something. They had like the Badlands, the desert, a lush,
Lava,
ice. Yeah,
ice,
yeah. Yeah, so are you
That
going
was
to have
actually
like
a
different
question I
types
was
of
looking for, too.
biomes like that, like with broad different aesthetics, or are you going? Are you only do 1 or 2, or you just want to stick to sort of that the Wilder Zone type of aesthetic for most of the maps, or do you know yet?
No, we'll definitely have different biomes for sure. You know,
Oh,
'cause you
okay.
want to create a different experience, like with maps, and that's all part of getting that emotional response from people. And
Yeah,
we want
yeah.
you to be in different worlds and experience different things while you're playing. So,
No lava though. Holy shit, I hate lava.
Oh man.
Oh, you're not gonna
But how are
you're
you
not
gonna have
gonna
a
put
good
the
map
flag
without-
on a platform suspended over
Yeah.
lava? No,
Come on, some of the
Come
best
on.
moments in Tribes have been are focused
Abaddon?
around
Come
lava. Yeah,
on.
water and lava are key components to frustrating people on your maps.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, these are critical features. I agree with Praj on this one.
I do remember one of the questions that I was interested that I saw on Reddit was how is the water gonna react? How is the water gonna work?
Really do anything right now. So sort of how the typical way to do it is you sort of just introduce some either drag or damping force on things that move through it. Usually have to fake it with projectiles because projectiles get really weird when they're slow, or if they like progressively slow down, which is what like a damping force would do. Which is kind of what the older games do. So it'll just be something like that. Like we don't really have. There's no real reason in our physics that we can't do that. Really, it's sort of just like deciding what the amount of
Okay,
friction.
so there
that you're
will
gonna
be
have.
something.
Yeah, you know, we'll decide on something.
It's on
it'll
the
be
table.
tested
It's on the table. I
and
got it.
vetted. We want
Yeah,
to make sure
yeah,
that
I mean-
it doesn't frustrate people.
Yeah, I can't say like, oh, it'll be this way because it just might not work or something. But it'll add like some sort of drag force. And,
Okay,
It'll
cool.
slow people down, which is a key part of what makes the water so incredibly frustrating. So
We can probably safely say we'll not have the TR2 launch you out
Damn
in the
it!
air effect.
That's what I was hoping for.
And are you gonna carefully tweak the amount of killing power the lava has so that you die in either 0.25 seconds or 0.28 seconds? I mean, you need to really nail that number for maximum frustration.
Oh man.
And like, if you try to toss the flag to like save it, the lava like comes out and grabs it and pulls it back in or something.
like Joust, where it just go
Yeah,
reaches out.
yeah, like Joust.
Oh wow.
You're,
I want to.
you're showing your age, you're wondering.
I know.
I'm just
I like old stuff.
clueless.
Well, I mean, we're talking about some old games here in the Tribes series anyway. But I wanted to field this question from Pumpelsh, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right because I always like this dude. He keeps it real on the forums and back
Agreed.
when there were forums. And he wanted to know, I think he's as a primarily Juggernaut player, will mortars be a part of the game? And I would expand that to say, what kind of weapons can we expect in the final release?
Well, so to the first one, I think, yeah, is a pretty safe answer. The second one, we don't really know yet. A lot of what the weapons, we have to, test it to see which weapons can go in the game, really. Because like they need testing and they need design, they need work. So, we're sort of looking at like classic, sure, what you would expect from your sort of classic Tribes game. But we're also looking to do, some new things that I guess we're not going to talk about right now.
Air mines?
Air mines.
Air mines?
No, I'm joking. Air mines are always. It's one of those things in games that like are always like almost impossible to deal with.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
the
any
Jackal.
form, like- or the shock rifle in UT. There's always
Yeah.
it creates so many game design problems.
No, man, just-
using air mines.
Just toss a mine up in the air, let it plant into your head, and then move away.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yup.
Yeah, the old rain dance defense.
Okay, well, that's a fair enough answer because, yeah, every time you introduce a new weapon, you're introducing a whole complex
Plethora of
series of
problems.
balance problems. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean,
Actually, go ahead.
yeah, we want to introduce like weapons that are fun and have like multiple uses and stuff. So like, it's hard to move outside of sort of the FPS archetypes when it comes to weapons in general to make interesting things. So it's tricky, but we'll get something because like the classics like the shotgun, the rocket launcher, the grenade launcher, the railgun. Like that covers most of the kinds of weapons that you have in any FPS game, really. And any variations on that sort of just don't do anything. They give you stats to play with, but they don't really create sort of different kinds of things to play with, and that's what I like about weapons is that they give you different kinds of experiences using them. I don't like games that have like a whole bunch of weapons that are basically the same, but that have slightly different numbers, because it means now I have to like think about which weapon is better. Like I spend all my time like thinking about that instead of like what can I use in this situation. What mechanics can I use in this situation, which is more of what I like. So that's my preference, but
Which is interesting, given that your own personal flowchart always ends at chain gun.
because it's so good.
As long as there's not a buckler or a grappling hook, I'm okay.
So no grappling hook, is that?
Grappler. Yeah, I don't know, really. I'm not a fan of 180-degree directional changes with no speed loss anymore. In my old age, I think I had enough of that in Legions.
Yeah, we fooled around with it in #rec just to, I think Vorm just did as a coding thing, can this be done? And playing around with it, it's just like, yeah, this is pretty cool, but not for this game. Yeah, so I don't know. It is situational depending on what kind of game you're making. And let's see what else we got here. Oh, Fix just asked about booths at PAX, like actual booths at PAX or other expos, advertising. I guess the real question is what kind of marketing strategy, and this is probably directed more at Bug Spray. How are you guys going to get the word out on this thing? Have you given that a lot of thought at this stage of the project?
Yeah, definitely. So as an indie studio, we don't really have a lot of leeway to like make a bunch of different marketing pushes that, like, let's say a AAA studio could, right? Like, you can have multiple marketing campaigns, you can throw money at it until like people just pick up your game and play it. But like in our case, even though we're making a bunch of great strides and like we're seeing more footage and that sort of thing, we're still only currently like kind of marketing to our core community, right? It's the FPSZ subreddit, it's the Mid-Air subreddit, it's a handful of tribes websites, that sort of thing. We aren't really making a whole lot of pushes just yet. And that's because when we do, like, we need to make sure that we can capitalize on it and that it counts. And so, I mentioned earlier that we're looking at Greenlight and Kickstarter. You'll probably see more focused marketing efforts around those two sorts of things, because those are the things that matter, right? It doesn't matter if we get a bunch of marketing like in between that stuff if when we get all those eyes, we can't turn that into something that's valuable for the project and makes the game successful.
Yeah, see, I think that's smart, man, because when we talk about this stuff with #, it seems like you kind of get one shot, right? Because it is such a big market, and there's so many games out there that you kind of have that one chance to kind of, because people just, they're fickle, they look at it, yeah, move on. So you get that one chance to get their eyeballs on it, and so you have to kind of make your shot count, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough to balance that with things like, with the community. Like, we want to give a lot of info to the community so they can, see progress in the game and see where we're at and all that kind of stuff. And so things like, there hasn't been a whole lot of posts since like our PAX thing, right? We had the community videos that came out, and then we allowed like Freaky to put his out. Like, we actually were gonna like have Freaky put out his video a little later, but decided like, okay, let's try and like, fill that gap between when we have our official release and when PAX was. And it's tricky because like, in that case, like, is it better to just put out a bunch of media at one time and like achieve an objective, or should like the community be brought along? Like, there are always those two things that are kind of like pulling back and forth, right? And plus, like, if footage isn't ready, then it's not ready. if we put out something we think will have a negative effect, then that's a bad thing. And like in the past, if we would have put out videos before, let's say like PAX, right? Aside from that quick teaser, if we showed a gameplay video, it would have been actually completely different, and reaction might have been completely different. So there's all these like kind of forces dictating when we release information and media and what we get from it. That kind of dictates our marketing strategy there. So it's not like kind of a simple like, oh yeah, XYZ on dates ABC. There's
no
more
good
complex
answers for it, right? Yeah, it's the tightrope of are we giving people too much as opposed to are we not giving them enough.
Yeah, exactly. And I know it can be frustrating from the outside, but there are good reasons why we might not, put something out there.
Oh, somebody asked about conch grenades. We'll be able to conch the flag.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh yeah, well, there'll be.
Well, the real question is T2
Mind disc.
style or Tribes Ascend style?
Mind discs. I have in the past announced that there won't be mind discs on IRC, I think. So I think I'm now bound to that. But sorry, the other question, T2, yeah, T2 sorry, TA style. I think there are some things I like about the TA cons, honestly, because I think that I think the flag scrambles that it makes are like really like even though they're dumb, they're really awesome. Because I think flag scrambles are like cool, which some people are going to yell at me for. But I think, well, they'd probably just end up being stupid. I don't know. We'll try it out.
I'm trying to figure out how you would design a conch to not be stupid but still create those situations. It feels like it would have to be incredibly contrived. Like you can only do it within 100 meters of the enemy base or something really silly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some things you could do.
You could only give it to heavies.
Well, you can make one that had like a fuse time and still only exploded on impact, so it behaved kind of like a normal, like a grenade launcher grenade or something. Which would change like the dumb like point blank conchs, which are just kind of silly, that people don't like, and you would still give you something. I just like saying things. Clearly this is
no. These are all in the game now.
Just before anyone gets like, I just say like, if you wanted to do something, that's one thing that I thought of that like anything else, it's a long iterative process, and it'd probably just get thrown out because it was garbage. But
could you elaborate on your opinion on mind discs? Because you mentioned it, but you haven't really like stated. A stance, like why your stance is that way. I mean,
because of instagives, like it's kind of just silly to have so many like instagives. A lot of what they do is sort of just give heavies more tools to just give lights, which is not great in terms of features. They sort of also really flatten dueling and make dueling really awful. So, we not really looking to put mind discs or anything like that in the game for now. We know they have purposes on defense and stuff, on defense and offense, and where they get used. So it's not super married to it, but I would at all costs I would like to really have a game with them absent.
Yeah, because one of the things that's kind of an overall question that's been asked a lot is what kind of Tribes game are you guys trying to make here? And I think people are trying to, like, is it going to be more like T1? Is it going to be more like T2? Is it going to be more like T2C? Is it
no, it's going to be more like Midair.
Yeah, it seems like you're drawing from pretty much all of this stuff, Legions, and just trying to take what it will seem to work from those.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that we like about I can't remember any Vengeance, so I can't lie. But there's things we like about, like all of the games all the Tribes games that we play. So it's sort of like, like what works in these, like what works in this game, like what can we use? Because like, I don't know. There's no reason not to, right?
Right on, for sure. Well, is there anything that we haven't covered that you guys would like to make sure that gets out there as far as information?
No, I think. I mean, unless artists have anything to say, I think at least I'm good.
Artists.
I'll say hooray for trees. That's all I can say.
Jesus.
The trees do look cool, yes.
Oh, are the trees planning? Are you planning to make those like collidable objects? Like how?
So the way it is right now is that you just can't collide with them. It's just, I said that. I think right. You can't collide with any part of them.
Correct.
No.
Okay. So the plan is sort of like if we do anything, I don't really think. I think that the games sort of work best when they don't like hard punish you for like the smallest for like small mistakes with like catastrophic results, which is kind of what makes the sort of the T2. It's kind of what makes T2 balance work over like TA or something, right? But so if we did penalize you for running into them, we'd sort of make it if you ran to the base, we'd probably stop you because stop doing that. But like if you ran to like through the leaves or into the branches or something, we'd probably only do like slow you down and stuff like that. So I have sort of like the same thing about when you like stub your toe on like the stand, right? Like we want to just make it so like we'll punish you for it, but it's not going to be like a total disaster. But we'll see how that stuff goes.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll run down the list for our final thoughts and shout-outs, and we'll go to Bug Spray first, because I know there's supposed to be a gameplay trailer. Do we know a time frame on that?
Yeah, so that one is soon, but the earliest soon of all the soons we've talked about today.
The soonest soon. Okay.
The soonest soon. So that'll be coming out soon. Just keep an eye on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook. Play Midair on Facebook and Twitter. It's r/midair on Reddit and playmidair.com. I'll keep an eye on those, and you'll see some news coming out soon.
Yeah, definitely be checking the social media. Yeah, they've got all sorts of things lined up. Mabel, final thoughts?
Damn it, Bugs, just take my money.
Nah.
Nah, that's it? Nah?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Freaky?
Nope, I really don't have anything either. I'm just excited for all the changes that are happening in my favorite video game genre.
Yeah, it's things are starting to pick up. Finally, we were waiting, and now it looks like the wait is almost over. Paraj, how about you? Final thoughts, shout-outs?
Just shout-outs to the Midair team, of course, for all the work they're doing. And if anybody wants to play some UT4 with me, you can find me on QuakeNet IRC.
Don't do it.
I'll be dead. No, do it, please.
I'm gonna download it, man.
I need more fresh meat. Come on.
I actually think
do it.
I still have it on Steam.
Do you don't hate Instagib, do you?
Oh, I hate Instagib, but I'll still beat you
Okay.
at it.
Okay.
Rats
enough, fair
Instagib
enough.
for the win.
Stealth, how about you? Final thoughts, shout-outs?
I just want to pretty much thank everybody who's been supporting us so far. I'm really excited to build, a game that people will hopefully enjoy, and bring back the one thing that made like Tribes 1 and Tribes 2 great, which was the community.
Started it all.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
I can't wait to play with everybody.
Great, man. And Void Spawn, how about you, man? Anything you want to add to all this?
Nothing else apart from shoutouts to everyone who's been supporting and keep following us, like people said, and shoutouts to our own team as well, and Justin, who couldn't be here today.
Cool. And I want to thank and shout out all the panelists who came on today. I want to, of course, shout out Hell Legit Games, the makers of #Wrecked, the hot new arena shooter that everybody is talking about. You can find it at helllegitgames.com. Follow us at Hell Legit Games on Twitter. And we've got big announcements coming very soon on #Wrecked. And I think that people who are fans of the genre will enjoy them very much. And also shout out to everybody who keeps supporting the Independent Broadcast Network. We've got more casting and more stuff coming on the way. And, of course, thanks to Fictious, and thanks to everybody who supports FPSZ and this podcast, the Z-Axis. And we will be back very soon, hopefully, with more news, because when the news comes up, we're here to bring you these casts. So from all of us here, Thank you for watching and listening, and we will see you next time.